On a cold February night in 1929, flames climbed the wooden walls of Shadow Lawn in West Long Branch, New Jersey, the former summer White House of Presidents. But when the roof collapsed, it erased more than a mansion. It sealed the fate of political meetings, private griefs, and documents whispered to have shaped a nation. What burned that night was built by Gilded Age wealth, guarded by servants and Secret Service agents, and burdened by ambitions too large for its foundations. This is the story of how America's most beautiful house became a vessel for power, secrecy, and loss. The year is 1897. America is drunk on possibility. Railroads stitch the continent together. Steel mills glow orange through the night. Fortunes appear like thunderstorms, sudden and total, reshaping the landscape in a single generation. John A. McCall stands at the center of this transformation. He built an insurance empire when most Americans still paid for funerals and coins saved under mattresses. New York Life Insurance Company makes him wealthy beyond measure. Not comfortable, not secure. Wealthy in a way that demands monuments. He chooses the New Jersey shore. West Long Branch sits close enough to Manhattan for convenience, far enough for discretion. The Atlantic Ocean provides what McCall craves most: distance from rivals, space to build something they cannot ignore. Shadow Lawn rises from 45 acres of coastal land. The name itself suggests mystery. Not Ocean View, not McCall Manor. Shadow Lawn, a place where light and darkness meet. The mansion sprawls across the property like a small city. 130 rooms. Limestone imported from Indiana. Hand-carved staircases that take master craftsmen months to complete. Ballrooms designed for orchestras. Libraries paneled in walnut, cut from trees older than the Constitution. The scale is not accidental. Every window, every column, every carved detail serves a single purpose: to prove that John McCall belongs in the same conversation as Vanderbilt, as Rockefeller, as Carnegie. To transform new money into old respect. The house devours materials. Marble for 30 fireplaces. Silk wallpaper shipped from France. Crystal chandeliers assembled by European artisans who travel to New Jersey specifically for this commission. Bronze fixtures cast in foundries that usually serve royalty. But Shadow Lawn offers more than display. The property includes its own power plant, its own water system, greenhouses that supply fresh flowers year-round, stables for horses and carriages, staff quarters that house dozens of servants permanently. This is self-sufficiency on a feudal scale, a world within a world. McCall builds not just a summer home, but a kingdom where he controls every variable, every entrance, every conversation. The Atlantic wind carries salt and possibility. Standing on the terrace, McCall can see his achievement reflected in the eyes of visitors. Shadow Lawn works. It commands respect. It suggests permanence. Yet even monuments serve at the pleasure of time. John McCall dies in 1906. The insurance empire he built faces scandal. Investigations reveal questionable accounting, excessive executive compensation, political influence purchased with policyholder money. His legacy curdles. Shadow Lawn, the physical proof of his success, suddenly looks different, not triumphant, excessive. A stone record of appetite without restraint. The mansion passes through hands, owners who lack McCall's vision or resources. Keeping Shadow Lawn alive requires constant transfusions of cash and attention. The house grows quiet, rooms close, staff shrink. The dream begins its slow fade. Then comes 1916. Woodrow Wilson needs distance from Washington. The summer heat makes the capital unbearable. More importantly, the presidency makes solitude impossible. Every conversation becomes public. Every shoo-shee becomes political theater. Wilson craves a place where he can think without performance. Shadow Lawn offers exactly this: a private palace large enough for presidential operations, isolated enough for genuine retreat. The deal is struck. For the summers of 1916 and 1917, Shadow Lawn becomes the summer White House. The transformation is immediate. Secret Service agents arrive first. They walk every room, every corridor, every entrance. They establish security protocols, limited access, controlled entry points, background checks for all staff who remain. Presidential motorcades replace society carriages. Gravel drives that once welcomed robber barons now carry official vehicles. Telephone lines are installed, telegraph connections, secure communications that link this New Jersey mansion to the apparatus of federal power. Wilson brings his family, his wife Edith, his daughters when they visit, but he also brings the weight of office. The summer of 1916 is consumed by one question: can America avoid the war tearing Europe apart? Wilson campaigns for re-election on a peace platform. He kept us out of war. The slogan echoes through every speech. Yet even as he promises neutrality, Wilson knows the choice may not be his to make. German submarines hunt the Atlantic. American ships sink. American lives are lost. The pressure builds like steam in a sealed boiler. Shadow Lawn becomes the stage for this impossible balance. Wilson works from the same rooms where John McCall once entertained insurance executives. Now those rooms hold cabinet meetings, draft speeches, confidential briefings from military advisors who arrive by train and depart before newspapers notice. The mansion absorbs it all: secrets whispered in libraries, arguments conducted behind closed doors, late-night sessions where the president paces marble floors, weighing options that will alter millions of lives. This is Shadow Lawn at its zenith. Not just beautiful, essential. A private space where public power operates without observation. The house has found its purpose. No longer a monument to one man's ambition. It serves the nation's highest office. It provides what democracy rarely allows: privacy for those who shape its course. Wilson wins re-election in November 1916. He returns to Shadow Lawn the following summer, but by then, the world has changed. America enters the war in April 1917. The promise of peace gives way to the machinery of mobilization. The summer White House now coordinates wartime governance, military planning, industrial production, the draft. Every day brings decisions that ripple across oceans. Shadow Lawn staff expands again. More secretaries, more security, more officials arriving at odd hours with folders marked confidential. The mansion's isolation becomes strategic asset. Here, Wilson can make choices away from Washington's scrutiny, away from Congress, away from public pressure that might force his hand before he is ready. The house holds everything: presidential fatigue, marital tension as Edith Wilson assumes more responsibility for managing her husband's schedule and health, documents that will not be declassified for generations, conversations never recorded in official minutes. By summer's end in 1917, Shadow Lawn has completed its transformation. It entered the century as personal indulgence. It reached its peak as national instrument, a place where American power learned to work in shadow. But power is a tenant, not an owner. It occupies spaces temporarily, then moves on, leaving the architecture to face what comes next alone. Beauty, sustained, is expensive. Shadow Lawn's grandeur depends on machinery most visitors never see. The house does not simply exist. It must be fed, maintained, defended against entropy every single day. Begin with coal. The mansion's 30 fireplaces are decorative. Real heat comes from basement boilers that consume coal by the ton. Winter deliveries arrive weekly. Men shovel black mountains into storage bins. The The furnaces burn constantly, radiating warmth upward through iron registers embedded in floors throughout the house. This system requires round-the-clock attention. Firemen tend the boilers in shifts. They monitor pressure, adjust airflow, remove ash before it chokes the flames. One mistake, one moment of inattention, and pipes freeze. Water damage follows. Plaster cracks. Wooden floors warp. The house demands vigilance. Then comes water. Shadow Lawn's own wells and pumping system supply every tap, every toilet, every fountain in 45 acres of grounds. Pressure must stay constant. Pipes must stay clear. The machinery never rests. Electric light arrives from the estate's dedicated power plant. Generators hum in a separate building. Fuel deliveries, equipment maintenance, backup systems in case the primary fails during an important dinner or presidential meeting. None of this appears in photographs. Visitors see chandeliers, not the cables and junction boxes hiding in walls. They admire manicured lawns, not the irrigation systems buried beneath grass. Shadow Lawn sells an illusion, effortless magnificence. The reality is endless effort concealed. Staff make this possible. At its peak, Shadow Lawn employs between 40 and 60 people full-time. Butlers, maids, cooks, laundresses, gardeners, chauffeurs, groundskeepers, security personnel. Each role is essential, each person invisible by design. Servants rise before dawn. Fires must be lit before the family wakes. Breakfast must appear as if summoned by will alone. Floors must be swept, rugs beaten, silver polished, linens changed. All of this happens in early morning silence, completed before the mansion's owners begin their day. The hierarchy is rigid. Head housekeeper, head butler, chef. Each manages their domain with military precision. Mistakes are not tolerated. Staff who cannot maintain standards are replaced quickly and without ceremony. Living quarters for servants occupy the mansion's less desirable spaces. Attic rooms, basement corridors, small, plain, utilitarian. The contrast is absolute. Upstairs, silk and marble. Downstairs, narrow beds and shared washrooms. This division defines Shadow Lawn's soul. The house projects grandeur, but its foundation is labor. Underpaid, unrecognized labor that makes every dinner party, every presidential conference, every moment of leisure possible. When Wilson arrives, the operation intensifies. Secret Service protocols add new layers. Background investigations for every staff member. Restricted access to entire wings. Guards posted at entrances 24 hours daily. The casual rhythms of a private estate give way to security choreography. Deliveries now require advance approval. Vendors cannot simply arrive. They must be vetted, searched, supervised while on property. The informality that once characterized Shadow Lawn disappears beneath requirements designed to protect presidential safety. Communication systems multiply. Telephone switchboards, telegraph operators, secure lines that connect directly to Washington. Someone must manage all of this, monitor conversations, route messages, ensure that confidential information stays confidential. The cost climbs steadily: staff salaries, equipment maintenance, security upgrades, utility bills that would bankrupt ordinary households. During Wilson's tenure, the federal government covers some expenses, but not all, never all. Shadow Lawn's owners discover what John McCall learned before his death. The mansion is a beautiful trap. Once built, it cannot be abandoned without admitting defeat. But keeping it alive consumes resources at a rate that outpaces most fortunes. The house needs. It needs constantly. Roofs develop leaks. Stonework cracks from freeze-thaw cycles. Paint fades under salt air assault. Wood rots in coastal humidity. Every season brings new damage requiring immediate repair. Deferred maintenance is not an option. Shadow Lawn's value lies in perfection. A mansion with peeling paint, sagging gutters, overgrown gardens loses its power. It becomes merely large, merely old. The magic dies. This creates a terrible mathematics. The estate must be maintained at the highest level, but the cost of that maintenance exceeds what the property can justify economically. Shadow Lawn exists in permanent deficit, sustained only by wealth willing to accept loss for the sake of prestige. For Wilson, the house serves another purpose. It becomes a refuge, but also a burden. His health deteriorates during the war years. Headaches, exhaustion, high blood pressure that doctors cannot control. The presidency consumes him. Decisions multiply. Casualties mount. Every day brings news of American soldiers dead in French mud. Shadow Lawn offers escape, but even here, duty follows. Advisors arrive with updates. Military cables require immediate response. There is no true rest. The mansion's beauty provides setting, not solution. Edith Wilson watches her husband decline. She begins managing access to the president, deciding who gets meetings, which documents require his attention, which can wait. This is not official policy. It simply happens, quietly, as presidential capacity shrinks and someone must fill the gap. The House witnesses this shift. Rooms that once hosted large gatherings now accommodate only small, controlled meetings. The president's schedule compresses, morning appearances, brief afternoon work sessions, early retirement to private quarters. Shadow Lawn becomes less summer White House, more convalescent facility. The mansion's isolation, once strategic, now feels necessary for different reasons. Here, presidential weakness can be hidden from press, from Congress, from public scrutiny that might question his fitness to continue. Documents accumulate in locked rooms. Correspondence marked for presidential review that instead waits, untouched, while Edith and a small circle of trusted advisors determine what truly requires Wilson's failing attention. What happens in these rooms will be debated for decades. How much did Wilson actually govern in his final years? Who made decisions in his name? What policies were shaped by unelected advisors operating behind closed doors? Shadow Lawn holds answers it will never volunteer. The house keeps secrets by nature, its thick walls, its private corridors, its staff trained to discretion. Nothing escapes unless those in power choose to release it. This is the hidden bargain. Shadow Lawn provides privacy, but privacy enables concealment. The same features that allow a president to think without performance also allow governance to happen without accountability. The war ends in November 1918. Wilson travels to Paris for peace negotiations. He returns diminished. In October 1919, he suffers a severe stroke. The extent of his disability remains hidden from the public for months. The White House issues vague statements about exhaustion and recovery. Shadow Lawn stands empty that final summer. No motorcades, no security details, no late-night strategy sessions. The mansion returns to silence, its brief moment of national importance already fading into past tense. The costs do not fade. Staff still require payment. Maintenance still demands attention. But the justification, the prestige of housing presidential power, is gone. What remains is only building, stone and wood and glass. Beautiful, certainly. Historic, perhaps. But also terribly, impossibly expensive to maintain without purpose, to justify the expense. Shadow Lawn has given everything. It absorbed ambition, sheltered power, concealed weakness, protected secrets that shaped a nation during its most consequential years. Now it must survive on its own. And survival, for a house this large, this complex, this demanding, requires resources that are about to vanish. The 1920s arrive with promises of prosperity and permanence. Shadow Lawn changes hands, new owners, new dreams. Perhaps the mansion can recapture its glory. Perhaps the right family with sufficient wealth can restore what Wilson's departure diminished. But the house has learned a cruel lesson. Purpose cannot be purchased. Shadow Lawn mattered because it served the presidency. Without that function, it is merely large, merely expensive, merely beautiful in a decade that increasingly values efficiency over grandeur. The new owners discover what everyone before them learned. Shadow Lawn is a magnificent parasite. It feeds on money, attention, labor. The returns are aesthetic, emotional, never financial. Maintenance costs climb. The mansion ages. Systems installed decades earlier begin failing. Plumbing problems, electrical issues, structural concerns that require expert evaluation. Each repair reveals 3 more problems hiding beneath the first. The staff shrinks. Full-time employees become part-time workers. Rooms close. Dust covers appear on furniture. Sections of the house simply stop being heated in winter. The cost of warming 130 rooms exceeds any rational budget. Gardens grow wild. Lawns develop bare patches. The perfection that once defined Shadow Lawn's grounds gives way to managed decline. Groundskeepers focus on visible areas. Everything else slowly returns to nature. This is not collapse, not yet. This is the slow fade that precedes disaster. The house still stands, still impresses visitors who see it from the road. But those who know, who remember what Shadow Lawn once was, recognize the signs. Paint fades, shutters hang crooked, roof tiles go missing after storms. Each small failure is manageable individually. Collectively, they signal a structure losing its battle with time. Then comes February 7th, 1929. The night is cold. Winter in New Jersey, coastal towns means wind off the Atlantic, temperatures below freezing. The kind of weather that makes wood contract, that makes old buildings creak and settle. Shadow Lawn sits quiet. Most of the house is unoccupied. A skeleton staff remains. A few rooms stay heated. The rest exist in suspended animation, waiting for resources or purpose that may never arrive. Fire starts sometime after midnight. The exact origin will be debated. An electrical fault, a fireplace ember, a dropped cigarette. The cause matters less than the consequence. Flames find wood, dry wood. Wood that has stood for 3 decades, absorbing coastal humidity, then drying in heated rooms, then standing cold and brittle in closed wings. Perfect fuel. Fire spreads faster than seems possible. Shadow Lawn was built for beauty, not safety. Ornate wooden trim, fabric wallpaper, thick carpets. The mansion is constructed from materials designed to impress, not resist combustion. The first person to notice calls for help. But West Long Branch's fire department faces impossible odds. Shadow Lawn is enormous. Water pressure cannot reach upper floors. Hoses freeze in winter air. Firefighters arrive to find flames already consuming entire sections. More departments respond. Neighboring towns send equipment. Men drag hoses through snow, pump water until their muscles scream. The effort is heroic and futile. Shadow Lawn's construction works against every rescue attempt. Interior walls channel heat upward. Staircases become chimneys. The architectural features that once made the house magnificent now accelerate its destruction. Wooden roof supports ignite. Flames eat through supports methodically. Then comes the moment firefighters dread. The sound of timber giving way. a groan that builds to thunder. The roof collapses. Not all at once, section by section. First the east wing, then the central structure. Each collapse sends sparks and burning debris into the night sky. Each collapse eliminates any hope of saving what lies beneath. Firefighters retreat. There is nothing left to save. Their job now is containment, preventing fire from spreading to other structures, protecting the estate's outbuildings, saving what can be saved. By dawn, Shadow Lawn is gone, not damaged, gone. The fire consumed everything combustible. What remains are stone walls, blackened chimneys standing like tombstones, twisted metal where chandeliers once hung, heaps of ash where libraries held books, where ballrooms hosted orchestras, where presidents signed documents that altered history. Photographs taken that morning show total devastation. Walls still standing, but hollowed. Windows empty of glass. The elegant facade reduced to a shell. Smoke still rising from ruins too hot to approach. The loss extends beyond physical structure. Everything inside Shadow Lawn is destroyed. Furniture, art, historical documents that were never cataloged, never copied, never preserved. Whatever records Wilson kept during his summers here, whatever correspondence lay in desks, whatever private papers accumulated in 30 years of occupation, all of it, ash. The fire erases not just a building, but an archive. Evidence of how decisions were made, who influenced whom, what was discussed in rooms that no longer exist. Historians will spend decades wondering what burned that night beyond wood and stone. Insurance helps, but cannot restore. Money can rebuild walls, cannot recover what those walls contained. Shadow Lawn's value was never primarily structural. It was historical, symbolic, irreplaceable in ways that transcend accounting. The timing adds bitter poetry. February 1929. 7 months before the stock market crashes. 7 months before the Great Depression begins dismantling the very world that created Shadow Lawn. The Gilded Age. The era of personal fortunes large enough to build private kingdoms. Shadow Lawn burns just as that world reaches its end. The fire becomes metaphor, excess consumed, ambition reduced to ash. The illusion of permanence revealed as temporary. But even metaphors leave residue. Even total destruction preserves fragments. Stone walls survive. The foundation remains intact. Portions of the first floor, protected by collapsed upper stories, escape complete destruction. Enough structure stands that a question emerges from the ruins. Can Shadow Lawn be saved? Should it? Ruins force decisions. Shadow Lawn's remains stand through spring 1929. Stone walls, empty windows, the smell of smoke lingering in coastal wind. The question is not whether to rebuild. The question is what to rebuild and why. The mansion's owners face reality. Shadow Lawn, as it was, cannot return. The cost is prohibitive. The justification is absent. America is changing. The appetite for Gilded Age monuments is dying with the economy that created them. But abandoning the property entirely means admitting total defeat. Accepting that millions of dollars, decades of labor, and historical significance amount to nothing more than expensive ruins. A compromise emerges. Rebuild, but smaller, simpler. Remove the excess. Preserve what mattered. Transform the estate from private palace into something sustainable. Construction begins in 1930. The Great Depression is now reality. Unemployment climbs, banks fail, fortunes evaporate. Building anything seems defiant, possibly foolish. Yet Shadow Lawn rises again, not as 130 rooms, as 52. The new structure incorporates surviving stone walls but abandons the mansion's most extravagant features. No ballrooms, No marble staircases spiraling 3 floors. No libraries paneled in imported walnut. The rebuilt Shadow Lawn is handsome, well-proportioned, substantial, but it is not magnificent. It is not overwhelming. It is architecture designed for use, not awe. This version survives another 15 years. Private owners occupy it. The house functions as wealthy families expect. Comfortable, spacious, appropriate for entertaining. But the magic is gone. Shadow Lawn becomes just another large estate in a region full of them. Then comes 1956. The property changes hands again. This time, not to a family, to an institution. Monmouth College, later Monmouth University, purchases the estate. Shadow Lawn will become an educational facility. Classrooms, administrative offices, a student center. The transformation is total. Rooms that once held presidential conferences now host undergraduate lectures. Spaces designed for private political discussions fill with young people studying biology, literature, mathematics. The mansion's purpose inverts completely. This should feel like defeat, a monument reduced to utility, grandeur sacrificed for function. But something unexpected happens. Shadow Lawn survives, not as it was, as something new. The university invests in preservation, maintains the structure, values its history even while adapting its use. Students walk halls where Woodrow Wilson once paced. They study in rooms where American power once operated in shadow. The building endures because it found new purpose. Education replaces politics. Public access replaces private control. The house that once existed to impress now exists to serve. In 2000, Shadow Lawn receives new life again. Monmouth University builds a modern expansion, Woodrow Wilson Hall. The name acknowledges history while the structure embraces contemporary needs. The original mansion becomes one part of a larger complex, protected, preserved, integrated. Today, visitors can walk through Shadow Lawn's remaining spaces, see the bones of what survived fire and reinvention. Touch stone walls that absorbed 3 decades of Gilded Age ambition. Stand in rooms that witnessed presidential governance during America's most consequential war. But they cannot see what burned, cannot read documents that turned to ash, cannot hear conversations that happened behind closed doors and were never recorded. This is Shadow Lawn's final truth. It survived, but incomplete. The building stands. The secrets are gone. What burned in 1929 was more than wood and plaster. It was evidence. The private record of how power actually functions when cameras are absent and transcripts are not required. The unguarded moments when presidents reveal doubt, when advisors speak candidly, when decisions get made for reasons that never appear in official histories. Shadow Lawn was built to contain such moments. Its isolation guaranteed privacy. Its grandeur intimidated those who might question what happened inside. Its staff understood that discretion was not optional. The fire broke that seal. Everything the house protected for 30 years became ash. Whatever Wilson left behind, whatever documents sat in locked drawers, whatever correspondence accumulated in rooms that no longer exist. Historians know something important burned. They cannot know what. The absence itself becomes historical fact, a gap in the record where Shadow Lawn once stood guard. This makes the mansion's legacy paradoxical. It mattered because it kept secrets. Its importance is proven by gaps we cannot fill. Shadow Lawn succeeded so completely at its purpose that its success created permanent historical blind spots. The building that remains is beautiful. The university maintains it well. Restoration work honors original details where they survive. Shadow Lawn today is elegant, dignified, valued, But it is not what it was, can never be what it was. The fire ensured that. Perhaps this is appropriate. Shadow Lawn was always about contradiction, public beauty hiding private function, grandeur sustained by invisible labor, power operating in spaces designed to prevent observation. The mansion's destruction simply made the contradiction physical. Walls standing, contents gone, the shell preserved, the substance lost. What survives teaches different lessons than what burned. The architecture speaks of ambition. The gaps speak of fragility. Together, they reveal how easily history can be erased by a single night of fire. Shadow Lawn stands today not as triumph, but as warning. Beauty cannot protect truth. Privacy enables both contemplation and concealment. Power moves through spaces temporarily, then departs, leaving buildings to bear consequences alone. The house absorbed everything: presidential fatigue, wartime stress, secret negotiations, private griefs, documents too sensitive for public viewing, conversations that shaped millions of lives. Then it burned, and what it absorbed went with it. This is the cost of ambition hidden behind beauty. This is the price of spaces designed to keep secrets. They work until they fail, and when they fail, they take everything with them. Shadow Lawn stones stand witness to what can be lost. Not just buildings, not just wealth, but knowledge, evidence, the raw material of honest history. The university students who walk these halls today inherit a structure that survived its own death. The mansion that rose from ash is not the mansion that burned, but it carries memory of both. Somewhere in Shadow Lawn's walls, between original limestone and modern restoration, exists the ghost of what John McCall dreamed, what Woodrow Wilson used, what fire consumed. The house remembers, but it cannot speak, can only stand, beautiful and incomplete, a monument to everything it held and everything it lost. This is how America's most magnificent private mansion became a lesson in impermanence. This is how power's favorite hiding place became a memorial to secrets that will never be recovered. Shadow Lawn survives. The truth it guarded does not. And perhaps that was always the bargain. Perhaps houses built to contain power understand from the beginning that they are temporary custodians of permanent mysteries. The fire simply made explicit what was always true. Nothing lasts, not mansions, not fortunes, not even the carefully protected secrets of presidents who believed their privacy was guaranteed. Shadow Lawn stands today as proof that survival is not preservation, that rebuilding is not restoration, that even stone walls, when emptied of their contents, become monuments to absence rather than presence. The house endures, transformed, repurposed, serving new generations in ways its builders never imagined. But what it held is gone, and with it, pieces of history we will never recover. This is the final truth Shadow Lawn offers. Some losses are total. Some gaps cannot be filled. Some questions remain unanswered because the answers burned on a February night in 1929, taking with them everything that made this mansion more than just another beautiful building. The structure survives. The secrets do not. And that is legacy enough. Shadow Lawn's story is not unique. Across America, estates rise and fall. Some burn, some decay, some find new purpose. Each one holds fragments of the past we cannot fully recover. What other American mansions carry untold stories? What secrets remain hidden in architecture we take for granted? If you found this exploration compelling, let us know in the comments which estate we should investigate next. And if you believe that understanding how power worked in private spaces helps us understand how it works today, consider subscribing. History is not just what happened. It is also what we lost.